Come check out some fantastic miniatures for the Warzone Resurrection line. Spiking bits. What's up, Hobby Maniacs? Rob Baer back again with you today, taking a look at some of my favorite miniatures of all time. This is Warzone Resurrection, of course, part of the Mutant Chronicles universe. It's been around for literally like 25 years or so, since the 90s that I can at least remember. Back then it was produced by a company, I think it was Target or Heartbreaker Hobbies, or distributed by one or the other, something like that. Those names sound right to me, but of course, after 25 years, it's hard to remember everything with any certainty these days, for sure. But what I do know is that I certainly enjoyed playing Warzone back in the day. And of course, I had a Cybernetica army, or Cybertronic. But what I really loved about these guys was, well, I liked about the game too, was that Warhammer was at such a weird point in the early 90s. It was kind of going from 2nd edition to 3rd edition, and 2nd edition was more like a clunky skirmish version of the game, and tried to scale up, and it didn't really work, but it was still pretty fun, and it was like the first of its kind. And Warzone came along and was like, yo, we got this game, it's quick, it's bigger, it's on the scale of Warhammer 40K, but it's fast and it's quick. And I'm like, wait a minute, I think these guys are on to something. Let me start this game, let me play this game. And I played these guys, and I had a big army, and I had this like death droid walker thing. It looked like, it was basically a big pewter egg with legs. It looked terrible back in the day, but now they've got a new one that's coming out soon that looks amazeballs. And I really want to get one of those, or 3, because I think you field them in squads of 3. Regardless, you can tell I really enjoyed playing this game back in the day. And I played Cybernetic, Cybertronico, whatever you want to call them. It was really exciting. And then Warhammer 3rd edition came out, and I was like, oh, they borrowed a lot of stuff from Warzone. It was really ridiculous. I was like, wow, this sounds just like Warzone. So obviously I liked Warhammer, so I started playing that. Right around that time, the companies that actually put this game out kind of started collapsing. You know, the early 2000s and late 90s, there was a lot of, stuff happening in the world and with companies and things, and there's no point to even getting into that. But suffice to say that the company went away. Well, Warzone is back. Prodos Games has it. It has been resurrected, of course. It is a fantastic line. There was card games. There's been actually a movie made about this with, Ron Perlman. Check that out if you're not up on all the lore and the fluff behind the whole Mutant Chronicles universe. So I got these miniatures, and you can tell I was really excited. I just ripped the box apart. I was like, I gotta see them. I wanted to take a look at them so bad. But these are great miniatures. And you know what? I was a little worried at first. I was like, oh, I'm going to get these and I'm not going to like them. And I'm going to have to like say some nice things about it, but not all be like super enthusiastic. But it turns out they don't suck. They're really cool miniatures. They look amazing. They've surpassed all of my expectations. Now, I will be straight up with you. I don't know poop about this game. I can't tell you. I've got the rulebook right here, and I really haven't dug through it, but I flipped through it and I was like, wow, there's some really good graphics. Like, they did a really good job on a lot of the stuff, like there's a lot of factions in here. Like, give this game a look. I'm telling you, like, I can't tell you as to the game itself and how it plays. That will be something I try to learn over time. Maybe I can get some demos at Adepticon. But I can tell you right now, there's a lot of factions very similar to 40K. There's Bauhaus, there's the Brotherhood, there's Capital. Of course, these guys here is Cybertronic. They're more like the Necrons. If you're familiar with 40K, of course, and you want to compare it to something like that. There's Dark Legion, and there's Imperial and Mishima. And I don't know if I said all of those right, but that's how I used to pronounce them in the past. And obviously, old habits are hard to kill, so to speak. But all of them are very similar to stuff we've expected in a 40K universe. And you can obviously say they have borrowed back and forth from each other, of course. Nobody really has original ideas these days, and it is what it is. But that being said, I think you should give these guys a look. Now let's take a look at these miniatures. They're obviously very, very affordable too, which I was super impressed with. The starter set here, which I assume is all you need to get started because it is a starter box. Again, haven't dug into the game. This is a very time-intensive thing that we don't have a lot of time to do around the studio, but I can definitely tell you how much I enjoyed these miniatures, and I enjoyed looking at these miniatures, and I enjoyed playing these games in the past, and I know Prodos has really been hitting it out of the park lately with everything they're doing. So I'm more than willing to give these a positive review just based on this. I, again, don't know a lot about the game, but hoping to learn more as we go forward. So anyways, the starter box is only $37.49 pounds. So it's, it's 45 bucks, depending on which way the wind blows, with the conversion rates, et cetera, et cetera. These little box sets are a little bit cheaper. I think this one was $22, and the Exterminated the Old Attila model was $14.99. Now there's more miniatures out there too. Like there's a lot more stuff, and it's all very affordable. There's some newer units that I don't remember from back in the past, and there's some older stuff that I definitely remember, like the Attila right here. I don't remember these Machinator guys, but that is what it is. So overall, I think it's very well packaged. Of course, I tore right into it, but you can see the graphics. The graphics are great. They really display like kind of what comes in it, and they give you the rich background. And the whole background to Mutant Chronicles, if you're not familiar, is that Earth is ruled by mega corporations, and what happens was that I don't know, there's some sort of conspiracy, and stocks plummeted, and everything got bought up by these mega corporations, and they called it Founders Day. And all the stock that was kind of left over and not really anything done with, like kind of like the loose sense, like to use a Office Space or Superman 3 term, was bought up by the Cybertronic folks and turned into like their own little mini kind of corporation type thing. So that's kind of what happened, how these guys kind of came to be in the universe. And of course there's demons that came later on, and they had to fight them off. You know, all the factions of Earth kind of united. Well, not just Earth, it's the universe. They've all spread out kind of in true like Wailing Yutani fashion, which is a little bit how this kind of storyline goes too. So there's a lot of design elements that you're going to find very familiar to your I guess nerd lore, so to speak. So that's kind of another thing that I find appealing about Warzone, is that it has so many kind of congruent elements to how current day gaming and current themes out there are. Now it comes with all the bases you need, and actually they throw you some D20s, which I always thought was a really exciting kind of mechanic of the game itself. And then these are resin miniatures, and they are very well detailed. I mean, they're very crisp. Let's zoom in on some of this stuff here. They're very crisp. They're not like that crappy plastic that a lot of Kickstarter companies use that you can't ever get to like glue together, and it's very frustrating. I just end up throwing them across the room because I'm like, yo, I ain't got time for this. I want stuff that works. This guy right here is the Attila. Now they have another dude, and I don't remember him. He kind of looks like Arnold, like the Terminator. It's very cool. So this guy here is ginormous. We're talking like bigger than a Terminator from 40K. He's on par with Primarch size almost, if you're familiar with those terms from 40K. And he's got the little machine gun Gatling barrel and his support arm right here. Ugh, my fingers are not working today, but here it is. Those plug together, and it's very well detailed. I mean, check out this. This is quality I would expect to see from Forge World. I'm very impressed by it. There's no like errant mold lines and craziness or anything like that. I mean, there are some sprue fill holes right here, which is to be expected, I feel like. But down in here, you can see all of the little gears and everything. There isn't any like craziness. This isn't like some $5 figure I picked up off the shelf that I, was like, oh, well, I feel like I didn't get my money's worth here. I definitely feel like I got my money's worth when I start looking at all this. Fantastically well detailed. Like I said, I was very impressed with the quality. I remember back in the day I used to play with pewter miniatures of these, so seeing them re-rendered and kind of mastered, I guess, so to speak. Remember the stars. This is Warzone Resurrection. Is really cool to see. And then these are just the little Duderman, the Thrall guys. I forget what they're called. But again, let's see if I can zoom in on it. I don't want to get in too far where it doesn't register the focus. There we go. That's about as far as I can get. So you can see it's fantastically, I mean, you can see everything. Rib cage is up in here, like, muscle structure, sinew. You've got all this cybernetic like parts up in here. There's even in the crotchal region, there's like some sort of webbing or something. And look at all that. Like, it's fantastic. Like, this is very well done. And there's a little spine on the back, some like little socket kind of things like this. And all of these guys are like that. And then the arms are fantastic as well. The guns are very well detailed for being the size they are right down there. You can see all sorts of intricate details. Even the barrels are like bored out right there. Like, I mean, you don't get that from Games Workshop, you know what I mean? So these guys, again, I don't know the rules. It's obviously a smaller game than, compared to something G-Dub puts out. But I'm really itching to dig into this rule book, and I know a lot of the background because, I played it a lot. I actually played the card game. There was a CCG game back in the day in the early 90s. played all that stuff. You know, I'm very kind of entrenched in what's happening here. I'm not sure if the storyline's been moved forward. Here's one of the doctor chicks, not the main one for the faction. I forget what she's called, but you can tell again, very well sculpted, very well done. This is a very classy game that has some great looking miniatures and some really forward thinking storyline for its time. And I hope the rules, again, we'll probably do a separate review on the rule book. I really hope that the rules reflect that, because, you know, and I'll probably touch on this in my rules review too. Like, I really appreciate quick start guides, because I mean, you know, I feel like one of the things that makes some of my reviews and some of my, or at least I try to convey it in my reviews and my live tutorials on Twitch, is the fact that I'm busy too, you know. So if I'm busy and everybody else is busy with their careers, their work schedule, their kids, you know, what they got going on, that if we can all just kind of come to the same results from the hobby that we have, like how to hobby, you know, you hear about people hobbying on a budget, which is great because you can save money to do other things, but also hobbying on a time budget, you know, working out those paint muscles, but also achieving a very top end tabletop / high tabletop standard with, you know, a reduced kind of time schedule. And that's what we all strive for, and that's what I try to convey in my tutorials. And I feel like, you know, learning a new rule set, we're kind of at the point right now where everything takes forever there's so much new supplements and you have to sit down and study. And even when I spend 6 to 8 hours learning a new rule set or, you know, rule supplement, and I do a review of tips and tactics on YouTube, there's always a couple of things I get wrong. I mean, we're just all going to get things wrong. And if we all can really help out and learn from each other, that just like makes the whole experience even better. So that's the baseline I go with. And then, you know, everybody else kind of comes along and helps out and fills in the blanks or the things that might have gotten lost in the mix. So this is a great miniature here. You can tell everything is very well done atomically. You know, it's just the pose is very well represented here. The range of motion looks good even. You know, everything's very well detailed. You can even see pockets on here. You know, just I don't even know what to say. Like, this is a very well done miniature. Now it is smaller because it is a human. You know, these are little robot Doc Ock arms, and this is very fiddly. It reminds me of, even that hair is done very well. Like, very well, way better than Games Workshop Sisters of Battle hair, in my opinion. Like, this reminds me, I'm having flashbacks to painting Saint Celestine, and I'm just like, whoa, so tiny, so many small parts. It's crazy. But those sometimes make the best miniatures, you know, with all the great styling and the great detail. You can really show off your hobby prowess there by doing them solid as you paint them up. And of course, they use the round lip based fashion. It looks like we got some 25 mil rounds and some, this might be 45, hard to tell. That's a 40. So really interesting different types of bases and such right here. So that was the starter. We did the Attila Mark 1 Model 2. Here's the Machinators. I have no idea what these guys are, but we're about to find out. Okay, here we go. So lots of cool stuff, and there's little robot mans in here. What is this thing? It's a little... So these are like their shock troops. Okay. So it's got a little robot for the robots in here. Maybe it's like a mobile fire base. So these are kind of the assault mechs. Now these are a lot bigger. These are on scale with kind of a Space Marine Terminator type size. But again, very well detailed. You can see all of the different angles, different gears and such. The armor and everything in there is very well done. The heads are connected, but you can see all the pistons and gears and things. And then here's the little robot weapon platform thing, very well detailed as well. You can see all the rocket launchers and all the internal kind of wiring and armor plating and fold back gears and all sorts of things there. I don't even know. And then there's, these guys have some sort of storm shield, I guess, some sort of boarding shield thing. Again, don't know the rules 100% yet, only going off of what I remember in the past. And then here's their gun here, which is also very well done. I like the armor plating here that has a lot of kind of really tiny detail, to be quite honest. And then the barrels are even sculpted out as well, so you don't have to worry about your pin vise when you're putting these guys together. Now this is the only thing that concerns me, and I haven't worked with this material. I mean, I know it is a resin, but I'm not sure if this is straighten outable. It seems like it's not brittle, so that leads me to believe that it's some sort of elastic resin material that can be heated up and repositioned and cooled down to where it could stay. If it gave too much there, I would say it does not possess those properties. So that would be something that we'll address in the future videos when we get these guys put together. If that's something that we can, something that actually is, well, I guess that's just flash. Is that flash? I can't tell. Yeah, I guess that's just flash, so it doesn't matter. But the baton itself looks a little curved, so I'm almost wondering if that's something that we'll have to address. But either way, we'll let you know in a future video. Just kind of taking a first look at it right now and giving you my thoughts on it, because like I said, played these games back in the day and really enjoyed them. I think there was a lot of stuff companies could learn from this, and I'm sure Games Workshop took a few notes, took a few pages from the Warzone book back then in the late 90s, and moved it on over to their stuff. And here we are again. It is resurrected. They are coming out with new miniatures. It is by far not a dead game at all. It has indeed been resurrected, and we'll see more from these guys very soon. So hop on over to Prodos Games. They are the same manufacturer. Let's see, prodosgames.com. They are the same manufacturer that does the Aliens vs. Predator, and they have a few other properties over there as well. So give them a look. Check out the Cybertronic or any of the starters. There's like 7 different ones for Mutant Chronicles. Like I said, they're extremely affordable. I think you owe it to yourself to check them out and scoop yourself up a rulebook as well and give it a whirl.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. TheLongWar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos.